Good evening,
Instagram.
everyone, and
Got it.
namaste. This is Anita, and today I'm blessed to have with me Sadhvi Bhagwati Saraswati ji, who is an icon of spirituality and is the author of the best selling book, Hollywood to Himalayas, which gives an unique perspective on the migration, as the Indian American TV channel is mostly for people who migrated the other way from India to here. And this book gives us a very unique perspective for someone who moves from here to India. And she is also the president of the Divine Shakti Foundation and the Secretary General of the Global Interfaith Wash Alliance by UNICEF. And she is originally from Hollywood or Los Angeles, and she has graduated from Stanford. Currently, she lives at the Parmarth Niketan in the Himalayas. And without further much ado, I would ask Sadhvi Saraswati ji to tell something about herself and her migration journey, and preferably the migration journey. I would have love to have it in Hindi. अगर आप हिंदी में migration journey के बारे में बताएं और क्या क्या आपको क्या क्या यूनिक एक्सपीरियंसेस हुए या समस्याएं आई, तो वो हमारे ऑडियंस के लिए बहुत अच्छा रहेगा.
Beautiful. Beautiful. अनीता मैं आपके साथ आज इतना अच्छा लगता. So beautiful to be together. And especially so beautiful to be able to share with Indian American TV and to share with at this beautiful time of the new year, to share with our family and our community living in America. देखिए, मेरे लिए मुझे ना भारत के बारे में, ना भारतीय संस्कृति के बारे में, ना सनातन धर्म के बारे में मुझे कुछ पता नहीं था. मैं 25 साल की थी उसी समय, और मैंने अपनी पूरा बचपन स्पेंड किया था कैलिफोर्निया में. I grew up in Los Angeles, quite literally in Hollywood, in the Hollywood Hills. और फिर Los Angeles से मैं चला गया Bay Area में to Stanford University, where I did my undergraduate, और फिर मैं PhD कर रही थी. जब इंडिया आए, ये 1996 की बात थी, और इंडिया इसलिए आए केवल घूमने के लिए. I used to love to travel. I still love to travel. और usually अधिकतर हम लोग जैसे यूरोप पे चले गए traveling के लिए. लेकिन when India was suggested, जैसे मैंने कहा कि मुझे कुछ पता ही नहीं था इंडिया के बारे में, लेकिन मैंने इसलिए हाँ किया क्योंकि मैं पक्का वेजिटेरियन थी. और मैं पक्का वेजिटेरियन थी बचपन से, जन्म से नहीं. My family was not vegetarian. लेकिन 15 साल की उम्र में मैंने बस एक दिन निर्णय लिया कि वेजिटेरियन बनना है, होना चाहिए, कि ये मांस जो है वो खाना नहीं है. और तो मैंने छोड़ दिया. और मैंने देखा कि यूरोप में, इवन अमेरिका में उसी समय, it was very difficult to get proper pure vegetarian food in a lot of just say restaurants and like that. In California it was easy, but other parts of America, in Europe, खासकर अगर भाषा नहीं आता है, तो मैंने इसलिए हाँ किया क्योंकि मुझे मालूम था कि इंडिया में बढ़िया से बढ़िया वेजिटेरियन खाना मिलेगा, चाहे मैं भाषा बोल सकूंगी नहीं बोल सकूंगी, ताकि वो समझ पा रहे हैं नहीं समझ पा रहे हैं, फिर भी everybody understood vegetarian. तो मैंने इसलिए यहाँ किया था. And of course it's embarrassing 25 साल के बाद now to say कि मैं बस इसलिए आई because I loved the food. But सच तो ये था. और भारत में आकर दिल्ली में एक मोटी सी पुस्तक था अपने पास. उसी समय there was no Google. It was
Uh-huh.
1996, but we had a Lonely Planet guidebook. और वो book मैंने दिल्ली में खोला और मैंने देखा ऋषिकेश. तो ऋषिकेश के बारे में भी मुझे कुछ मालूम नहीं था, लेकिन it sounded very beautiful. और मैं हमेशा एक जैसे nature person था. I love the mountains, I love nature. तो जब ऋषिकेश के बारे में पढ़ने लगा, तो it said lap of the Himalayas, mountains, rivers, nature, yoga. मैं पहले से योग सीख रही थी सैन फ्रांसिस्को में. तो जब लिखा हुआ था कि this is the, center of yoga, तो मुझे लगा कि let us go to ऋषिकेश. ऋषिकेश आकर और होटल में सामान छोड़ दिया और फिर सीधा ही मैं गंगा जी के पास आई. I knew अंदर से I was feeling कि I want to go to the river.
Nice.
But मुझे मालूम नहीं था कि माँ गंगा is sacred या हिमालय sacred. मुझे बस इतनी मालूम था कि मुझे गर्मी लग रहा है, मैं थके हुए हूँ, अभी चल के आए. तो गंगा जी के पास गए बस फ्रेश होने के लिए कि मैं थोड़ा सा I'll just put my feet in the river. लेकिन जब गंगा जी के पास पहुंच गए, गंगा जी का दर्शन किया और इतना दिव्य अनुभव हुआ. It was an experience of such awakening, such transformation, such divinity कि मुझे मालूम था कि मुझे यहाँ रहना है, कि यही मेरा घर है, that I have found my home. दूसरी चीज है कि मैंने ये देखा कि सभी जो यहाँ के रहने वाले लोग जितना भी गरीब हो, चाहे बाहर सड़क पे कोई स्वीपर हो, चाहे जो ladies walking in the Himalayas with the firewood on their head, कोई भी हो, लोग इतनी खुश लगते थे. People seemed so happy. छोटी सी बच्चे जिनके पास मतलब चप्पल भी नहीं होते, they had nothing, but they seemed so happy. और in America, where I was from, it seemed like people had everything, but they were not happy.
That's so
तो
true.
I'm sorry?
No, I'm saying that's so true.
Yeah, really true. And तो उसी समय मुझे लगा कि there is a secret here. कुछ special secret है और मुझे यहाँ उसकी secret सीखना चाहिए. That I wanted to learn whatever this secret was. तो फिर कुछ दिन के बाद मैं परमार्थ निकेतन आश्रम से जा रही थी, just to get from Ganga back to the hotel that we were staying in. लेकिन परमार्थ से चलते हुए एक आवाज सुना कि you must stay here. मैंने ऐसे मोड़ा कि आवाज कहाँ से आई. तो कोई था नहीं. फिर मैं थोड़ा सा और आगे चले, फिर आवाज दोबारा सुना, दोबारा मोड़ के देखा, कोई था नहीं. तो फाइनली एक्सेप्ट करना पड़ेगा कि ये आवाज मेरे अंदर से है, कि डिवाइन वॉइस था. और सो आई न्यू कि मुझे यहाँ रहना है. और फिर कुछ दिन के बाद पूज्य स्वामी जी का दर्शन करने का अवसर मिला. उसी समय महाराज जी विदेश में थे. The Encyclopedia of Hinduism project was underway. तो महाराज जी actually अमेरिका में थे उन दिनों में. But फिर करीब एक हफ्ते के बाद महाराज जी वापस आए और उनका दर्शन किया. और फिर suddenly it all made sense to me. Because before that, गंगा जी का दर्शन किया. I knew I was meant to stay. फिर परमार्थ निकेतन में वो आवाज भी सुना, you must stay here. But I didn't understand how or why or मैं करूँगी क्या. But when I met Pujya Swamiji, then it all made sense of, okay, unki charan mein, unki seva mein, in all of these beautiful programs and projects for helping the needy, helping children, helping the sick, helping the environment, that I can be here and be in seva. तो वो अब 25 वर्ष से 2-3 महीने ज़्यादा हो गया. And it's been just such a beautiful blessing, a beautiful blessing. देखो, अमेरिका में कल्चर यही कहते हैं कि यदि आप खुश होना चाहते हैं तो आपको खूब सारे चीज खरीदना है, खूब सारे चीज प्राप्त करना है, अचीव करना है. लेकिन वो सब चीज अचीव करने के बाद, प्राप्त करने के बाद लोग खुश नहीं है अधिकतर. और यहाँ जो मैंने देखा कि सभी लगी हुई है सेवा में, उनकी ड्यूटी में, उनके काम में, उनके धर्म को fulfill करने के लिए. But there's no sense of I have to have that in order to be happy. They understand कि मेरा happiness भीतर से आता है. It comes from being connected to the divine. And so it's been such a beautiful blessing to be in seva, to be able to teach, to be able to share, and to be able to serve as a vehicle, as an instrument for more and more people to get connected to the culture, to the tradition, to the teachings, so that everybody can have that healing and transformation. मैं हमेशा कहती हूँ, जब से मेरा memoir Hollywood to the Himalayas came out, I tell everybody कि देखो, मेरा journey literally from Hollywood to the Himalayas was literally, I was in Hollywood, फिर हिमालय में आई. But बाकी लोग, उनकी journey तो अलग होगा. Maybe they're not in Hollywood, maybe they're sitting, in Kansas or Oklahoma or New York or wherever they may be. There's probably Indians now in all 50 states. Yes. Wherever they may be sitting. चाहे हिमालय में आने के अवसर मिलेगा या नहीं मिलेगा. मुख्य बात यह है कि हम कैसे अपने विचार जो है Hollywood way of thinking से Himalaya way of thinking shift कर सकते हैं. And that's really the core, is instead of thinking of ourselves in that Hollywood way, जो कहते हैं कि you are your body, you are your career, you are your money, you are your relationships, to thinking, no, I have a body, I have a career, I have relationships, but I'm not them.
That's so
what I am is the divine.
Yes. No,
I'm sorry?
No, I'm saying that's so very profound, that I'm not any of the external things. I'm more of the divine from within me, right? And very few people can get that.
Of course. But Anita, ये अपनी संस्कृति है. That's the point. ये अपने शास्त्र में लिखा हुआ है, ये अपने साधु संत ऋषियों सारे गुरुज हमको हजारों साल से ये बता रहे हैं that you are not your body. Yeah. ये तो भगवद गीता की मतलब second chapter. This is Bhagwan Krishna's whole core teaching, right? To Arjun, that you are not the one who will die. You are not the one killing. You are eternal. So ye apna sanskriti hai, but we forget it. And so we get stuck in this Hollywood way of thinking that says कि जब तक मैं इसकी कंपनी CEO नहीं बनूंगा तो मैं खुश नहीं हो सकता हूँ. And एक बार CEO बन गए तो फिर अच्छा मैं CEO हूँ, means everybody should do what I say. Yeah. चाहे ऑफिस में हो, चाहे घर में हो, चाहे समाज में हो. I am the rich one. I am the powerful one. So we get stuck. We get stuck in these identities. We suffer. दूसरों को suffer कराते हैं. We make other people suffer.
Yes.
Because we've gotten stuck in this false identity that says, I am my career.
Yes.
I am my title. I am my role. I am my bank account. And so this shift from the Hollywood way of thinking to the Himalayan way of thinking really is, I have found, the solution to suffering. And it's that which really brings the healing and transformation. You know, the book shares my healing and transformation, but the teachings are there for everyone. That how can everyone implement these teachings, this shift, ताकि वो अपनी जीवन में they can find transformation, they can find awakening, they can find healing, they can find joy.
I totally agree. Actually, the problem is, I feel that especially with me being growing up in India, and now I see like my friends' kids and all growing up in India. The problem, I think, in India or even like here, what happens with that the education system focuses totally on the Hollywood way of thinking. And so people grow up with it and they don't go back to the roots of learning the Vedas or learning the teachings which really give you long term sustainable happiness or long term sustainable peace within yourself, because life will keep on happening, right? So,
Absolutely. But it's not only the education system's fault. क्योंकि हमारा सबसे पहले स्कूल घर का है. सबसे पहले teachers, अपनी parents, अपनी aunts or uncles or cousins, अपनी समाज. Those are the first teachers. By the time we go to school, वो पहले से ही वो संस्कार शुरू होता है. Or yes, in the school we are being taught and praised for what we achieve. लेकिन अगर स्कूल के बाद घर पे आके और सचमुच बढ़िया संस्कार मिलते हैं, then you have the best of both worlds. Then you have the best of Western education and the best of our Sanskriti. ऐसे नहीं है कि वेद को ही पढ़ना है in order to have happiness in life.
No, I agree, totally agree.
काफी लोग, you know what I'm saying, are not actually able to read the full scriptures, but they can read commentaries, they can read books by masters. These days they can even, you know, see videos. There's so much available. All of the beautiful kathas, all of the beautiful discourses and satsangs. There's so much available. It's just a matter of our focus and our attention and our intention.
No, I totally agree with you, because it happens that I think in order to look cool or in order to look more or be under peer pressure, people give more, I would say, importance to drinking in the happy hour than going and meditating. Which, like, I was listening to Sadhguru and he was mentioning that the reason most of the people don't get that happy or get more stressed out because half of their brains are soaked in alcohol. So they're not present enough in order to really realize what matters most or what comes from inside. They're too much dependent on the external factors.
Absolutely. I would say there's 2 points going on there.
Yes.
When we speak about happy hour, so there's a lot of reasons why happy hour does not actually bring happiness.
Yes.
The first reason, of course, is alcohol.
Yeah.
Alcohol on a neurological chemical level is actually considered a depressant. Means it actually makes us, it brings us down. It makes us sleepy, it makes us dull, it slows everything down. So on that chemical level, alcohol is dulling us. Alcohol is pulling us away from that inner Shakti, that inner Ojas, that inner energy. And that's just chemically. Whether you're drinking alcohol at home,
Yeah.
whether you're drinking alcohol on the street, whether you're drinking alcohol in happy hour in some bar, it doesn't matter. In every place, alcohol, by chemical,
Yeah.
the nature of the chemical of alcohol is, it is what we call a central nervous system depressant. That's what alcohol is.
Mm-hmm.
So number one, the alcohol itself literally slows everything down. Now, in the beginning, for the first 5 minutes, people think it feels good because they were stressed and tense in the office. They come, they drink, and suddenly their body goes, oh, like they've starting to become dull.
Mm-hmm.
But in the first moment, it makes people in ignorance think, oh, that feels good because I was hyper, now I am
Calm.
slow.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but it's not actually calm.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, because calm is not dull.
Yeah.
Calm comes when I'm actually in peace inside. Alcohol does not bring peace. It simply brings dullness. So those are very, very different. Peace comes when from inside, I have a connection to my higher self, a connection to love, a connection to truth, a connection to the divine, a connection to my purpose, a connection to all of creation, a connection to the universe. That's what peace comes from. Alcohol just takes our brain cells and makes them very dull. It's why people have a lot of car accidents when they are drinking alcohol. It's why people fall down. They have so much because we lose our balance. We cannot walk properly. We cannot drive properly. We cannot do anything properly. So that's reason number one why happy hour does not bring happiness. Reason number two is you cannot really be happy if it's something that you only do 1 hour a day. Happiness is not something that, if it's deep and it's real, it's not something that I only get for a few minutes a day. Happiness becomes that which actually pervades my life, because it's not about the bar with friends. It's not about a movie. It's not about a party. It's not about a raise or a promotion. It's about that internal connection with myself. It's about living my life in service according to my dharma, of being an instrument, as we're told so beautifully, nimitta matram, that instrument of the divine, that vehicle for service, that tool in God's hands, that bhav, that's what brings happiness. When we keep asking ourselves, what for me, what for me, what for me, we're never happy, however much we get. But instead, when we ask ourselves, what through me? What can actually happen here through me? How can I be the medium, the instrument, the tool, the vehicle for service to others? That's when happiness really starts to blossom. So the second reason that happy hour doesn't bring happiness is if it only lasts 60 minutes, it's not real deep happiness. Happiness is something that pervades us. It's a state of who I am. It's an awareness of who I am. It's not like, you know, I'm Sadhviji from this time to this time, and I'm somebody else the rest of the time.
Yeah.
right? From 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., I'm Sadhviji, and then 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., I'm, Bob. And then from 5 to 8, I'm Julie. And then, right?
Yeah, that's
Who
totally
I
true.
am, I am 24/7.
Mhm.
And when happiness becomes our nature,
Mhm.
it doesn't mean that we don't sometimes feel disappointed or that we don't sometimes feel sad. Ye hota hai.
Uh-huh.
That just is because we are humans.
Yeah.
And in this human package, sometimes we are sad.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are udas, we're disappointed. Hota hai, it happens.
Mhm.
But even in that, my nature is still happiness. It's just happiness in the moment is experiencing sadness.
Mhm.
Happiness in the moment is experiencing this frustration. But I'm still aware that inside at the core, who I am is joy, is love, is peace. And that's the connection we have to have. So that's the key. And so it has to be not a happy hour where you end up with a hangover, because of course that's a third reason why it doesn't actually bring happiness, because whatever it gives you, it leaves you with something much worse that lasts a lot longer, because hangovers last a lot longer than 1 hour. You have 1 hour happy hour and then 24 hours hangover. So if it's real happiness, we don't have a hangover. And that's why we need to start letting our happy hours actually become something that charges us through meditation, through prayer, through yoga, through seva, through connection, deep connection. I don't mean Facebook Live, connecting with just our Facebook followers, but a real deep connection with actual living people who are in front of us,
Yeah.
feeling the energy, sharing together, being together, loving together, whatever the relationship may be. Maybe it's parents and children, grandparents, maybe friends, best friends, maybe husband, wife, maybe our samaj, mandir samaj, ashram samaj, kirtan, bhajan mandali,
Yeah.
whatever the group might be or the connection might be, having that real connection,
That's true.
that's what actually brings happiness. And using our every minute and every moment to serve, to share, to be that instrument of the divine flow. So if you have happy hours, instead of using them to get drunk
Yeah.
and then be hungover and miserable, take that hour and do something that actually is going to bring real happiness to you. Spend that time meditating, praying, singing, chanting, doing yoga, serving others, make sandwiches and feed them to people on the street.
Yeah.
Do something that serves others, that helps others. That's what's going to bring real happiness to you. And as you do that, you realize that my happiness becomes stable. And it's not about what I have. It's not about what I'm doing. It's not about a pizza party or a movie or, some other enjoyment or some raise or some promotion. But it's actually about the core
Yeah.
of who I am. and that I'm able to tap into that all the time. So for our real happiness keys, our real happy hour, it becomes that which then infuses the rest of our day with happiness. So that 1 hour becomes just like charging your batteries, you could say. We charge our batteries in our meditation, in our prayer, in our yoga, in our japa. And then as we stand up off the cushion, off the mat, for the other 23 hours a day, that fragrance of that 1 hour stays with us. And that's where it's also so beautiful, if you're in a family, to have that hour together. Have your separate time as well, but also have family time together, whether it's doing arti together, doing bhajan kirtan together, praying together, doing some seva together, whatever it is, but some beautiful way of coming together as a family in connection with the divine, but in connection also together with the divine. It'll really deepen those relationships, whether it's a husband and wife, whether it's parents and children, grandparents, friends, your samaj. Make sure that there's time together where you're singing and you're praying and you're chanting and you're meditating and you're serving. It'll bring you much more joy, and it'll also bring a strength and a power and a depth to your connection with each other.
No, I totally agree. And that was so profound, because I'm a avid meditator and practice yoga and do my intention and my prayers before I start my day. And I feel that that keeps me grounded for whatever the day can bring, right? It makes me better prepared. And most of the time, and the reason I also asked about the happy hour was because I have never drunk alcohol in my whole life, right? Because I guess because I meditate, I don't need to. But then what happens is, if you don't hang out with people who want to only hang out in happy hour, you don't have many friends, right? So basically you are, I would say, if you want to hang out with people who are your friends, then most of the time you have to hang out in the happy hour. Say you drink or
I
you,
don't
yeah.
I don't think so. I think there's lots and lots of people who are also on spiritual paths, but we have to choose friends very carefully.
Yes.
And you realize that who your friends are is actually impacting you. This is why we speak so much about satsang. Now, satsang is not only we sit in a group and we meditate or we have questions, answers. Satsang also has to do with, who am I associating with? What is my sangha?
Yeah.
Right? Sat sangha.
Yeah.
So in the association of truth, but who is my sangha? Who am I associating with? Because if my sangha are drinking alcohol, not according to Dharma, according to my values or my ethics or my culture, well, then start to change, because our sangha impacts us, influences us. This is why in our scriptures, it's always been emphasized the power of association, right association. So yes, if your friends are people who go to happy hour, you're going to find yourself either going to happy hour or being home alone. The question then becomes, why am I so attached to these people being my friends? Or why am I attached to hanging out with them? Chalo, let them stay my friend, but I don't have to hang out with them.
Yeah.
Instead, let your friends be those you meet, doing the things that you want to do. So let your friends become those who are coming for meditation,
Yeah.
coming for yoga. Let your friends be those you meet when you are volunteering at some beautiful seva organization. Make friends with those who are living the way that you live. If you're making friends in happy hour, then naturally your friends are going to be people who like to go to happy hour. But if you're making friends in a meditation or a spiritual retreat or at an ashram or in a yoga class, well, those are going to be people who meditate, who do yoga, who come to ashrams. So find your friends in the places where you like to go, doing the things that you like to do.
Yeah.
As we evolve on our spiritual path, a lot of things end up getting left behind.
Yeah.
Our false ideas, our false identities, a lot of our grudges from the past, a lot of our ignorance,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of our expectations and attachments, but also a lot of our habits, and sometimes even our friends.
Yeah.
Because if they were part of a life that no longer is the life I want to live,
Mm-hmm.
we're not going to have very much in common anymore. If all we did together was shop and get makeup done and go to the bar and go to happy hour, well, now that I'm on a spiritual path, we may not have very much in common anymore.
Yeah.
And that's where it's okay. It's okay to just let them go. It doesn't mean you don't love them.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean you never talk to them. It just means that on Friday or Saturday, they're not the first person you call to see what you can do on that Friday night or Saturday night.
That's true.
Instead, you're going to call someone who you know
Mm-hmm.
is interested in doing the things that you are also interested in doing.
No, that's true. That's totally, I totally agree with you. And I have another question for like, especially because I see lots of people like they want to be better, but they somehow can't get rid of the jealousy or the competition or whatever situation they are in, and they are not, I would say, empowered enough to find it inside. So, what steps would you suggest them to in order to really like go from feeling negative to feeling positive?
So negative ways of thinking are just habits.
Yeah.
They're just habits. It's like some people, they twirl their hair like this. They're not even thinking, but they just kind of keep doing it. Some people bite their fingernails. Some people crack knuckles. Some people, people have so many different habits,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not even aware of it. Only when you are watching them do you see, oh, they're biting their fingernails, or oh, they're cracking knuckles, or oh, they're, twirling their hair. But for them, it has become autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of our way of thinking has also become autopilot habits.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm used to being negative, my brain is going to go in the negative direction. In Indian culture, we speak about this as a sanskara.
Mm-hmm.
In the world of science, we speak about it as a neural network or neural pattern. And it's basically just the habitual way that my brain moves.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be changed. It can absolutely be changed. But the way that it gets changed is by substituting a new pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that every morning I wake up and I lie in my bed, and the first thing that I do is I think about everything wrong that's going to happen that day. I think about everything wrong that happened yesterday. And I think, oh God, all the horrible things that could happen today. I think about them lying in my bed. Let's just say that that's my pattern. So I develop a new habit. And the habit is the moment I wake up in the morning, I immediately start a gratitude practice. Gratitude practice is 5 things I am grateful for.
Yeah.
The moment I wake up, 5 things I'm grateful for. And the moment I've finished my gratitude practice, I jump out of bed. No time for the brain to start getting negative. I've already started the day now on a positive note. And if you think that you may not necessarily have 5 things every morning, if your eyes actually open and you can actually see with them, if you can move your hands, your arms, your feet, your legs healthily, if you can stand up and walk into your bathroom, if you've got running water coming out of a tap that you just turn on and turn off, if you've got food in your refrigerator, in your pantry, on your table, if you've got someone you love and who loves you, whether in your bed, in your home, in your community, in your world, if you've got all of those things, you are much luckier, you could say, much more fortunate than the vast majority of people on this planet. So there's always so much to be grateful for. So begin the morning with a gratitude practice. Then jump out of bed, immediately jump into the shower. While you're in the shower, start having your mantra jap, right? And if you don't already have a mantra, don't worry. You can choose either an actual mantra from the Vedas, from the scriptures, or you can also choose any powerful affirmation. It can literally just be something like, I am a divine being of light. I am a divine being of love. I am an embodiment of the divine. I am full, I am whole, I am complete, I am divine. It can be really anything that just is working from that moment that you get out of bed to train your brain in the direction you want it to grow. And that's what it's all about. And then after, of course, your bathroom and bathing, you have your meditation, you have your prayers, you thank God for all of that you're grateful for. And you commit to what you are going to practice that day. To be more kind, to be more generous, to be more compassionate, to be more of a transmitter of love and peace. And you pray to God for the strength to do that. And then you keep that affirmation or mantra going through your mind all day long, whether you're driving or walking or washing dishes or sitting in a meeting or eating food, whatever you may be doing. Let that be running through the mind all the time. And what you'll find is slowly, 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 the whole sanskara, that pattern of the mind, it changes. You've laid a new habit, a new network, a new groove, a new sanskara.
Amazing. Nice. And coming to the path where you migrated, I wanted to ask you, what was the most difficult part? Like once you decided, okay, I'm going to stay here, because it's very different culture there, and very different way of, I would say, everyday life, and language is different, people are different. So was it very difficult, or what made you, like, what were the challenges you faced while adjusting?
Yeah. Honestly, by God's grace, there haven't been very many challenges at all. It's been definitely a learning experience, obviously on the deep spiritual level, but also just a learning experience in terms of habits. Obviously in Indian society, there are different habits, different societal norms than California.
Yeah.
But I didn't see those as challenges. I just saw them as skills that I needed to cultivate or habits that I needed to create. Yeah, there haven't been very many challenges by God's grace. Obviously, being a woman in the world of religion, especially the world of the traditional, sannyas parampara, being a woman there is unusual. I wouldn't say it's challenging, but it's definitely unusual. And the challenges in that have to do, for me, with maintaining a love and a reverence for a culture and a tradition that is predominantly male, that definitely does seem to see the males as higher than the women, to maintain a reverence for that culture, to maintain a love for that culture, while simultaneously maintaining a love and a reverence for the very divine and perfect and exquisite female incarnation that I'm in. Because it's very easy to go one or the other, to either say, oh, well, this culture is wrong, or to say, oh, it's too bad that I was born as a woman. Maybe next time I can be born as a man. And it's very easy to choose one or the other. But for me, the path has been both. Can I accept and love and revere this beautiful, eternal, amazing culture and dharma, even though there definitely is a preference for, a tendency toward men as far as religious and spiritual leadership goes, while simultaneously loving and revering and appreciating and honoring the very female form that I am here as. And to hold both of those simultaneously, not either or, but yes and, that has been, I don't think of it as a challenge so much as an opportunity, you can say. Because a challenge has kind of a negative connotation, and I like instead to think about it as an opportunity.
Nice. And were there ever times where you thought that, okay, this is not for me because it's so different? I have to go back to where I was, because many people get into their comfort zone. And even if the other side is better, but they don't want to, I mean, getting out of the comfort zone is so painful. They don't want to get out of the comfort zone, right? So,
I've never had that. By God's grace, by God's grace, it's never come to me of just, I'm going to go back. Because remember, I'm a scientist by heart and by background. And so it's very easy for me to look at both worlds and to realize that no matter what challenges I may be facing, that going back is never the answer. The challenges that we face are all internal. It's never a situation that is the problem. It's always internal, whether it's our negativity, our grudges, our anger, our jealousy, whatever it may be. They're challenges of the mind. And for me, it's been so clear that this is absolutely where I am meant to be. This is the life I am meant to be living. And that the challenges that I face, the internal ones, are ones that I'm supposed to work out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about, oh, you know, put me back in California. There would just be a whole host of other challenges, different challenges. And without this extraordinary opportunity to be living my Dharma.
Nice, amazing, so heart-centered. And what inspired you to write that book, From Hollywood to Himalayas? Because the title was the first thing to catch my attention when I was looking at it, and also realizing that most of the people, most of the people from the Western world wouldn't like usually, I would say, do what you have done, most common people. And I would say,
Sure.
like, people, like, even like when I meditate or I do yoga, many of my friends would say, oh, it's so difficult how to get up that early to do that, right? Or things like that. So I would say, like, what inspired you to write it? Because for someone like me, it's a very inspirational book because it's more deep than most of the things I read, right? And and because I'm from that culture, so of course I relate to it much more. And I would say, like, but in your situation, what was the inspiration? And also, I think in parts of the book, if I'm not wrong, you were in a very, like, traumatic situation when you were younger, right? So, uh, my second part of the question is, what advice would you give to someone who has gone through trauma and has PTSD or is not able to get over it, like you have done? So those are like two parts of my question.
Sure. And it's actually a very beautiful place for us to close,
Mhm.
because it brings us back full cycle to
Yeah.
the beginning.
Mhm.
And what inspired me to write it was I realized that it was really important for people to know that regardless of what experiences they've been through in their life,
Mhm.
that spirituality is available for them.
Yeah.
नहीं तो लोगों को लगता है कि ओह मेरे को ये हो गया वो हो गया, या मैंने ये किया, या जो भी है, लोगों को लगता है कि now it is unavailable for me. Now grace will not be there, अब कृपा नहीं मिलेगा, अब कोई आशीर्वाद नहीं मिलेगा, that somehow I am doomed,
Mhm.
and that grace is not available for me. And my story is so different from the normal traditional stories that we usually see of religious leaders, especially from India, especially from the East, who are really usually men
Mhm.
who pretty much come out of the womb enlightened. And from early childhood, they know this is the life they're meant to lead. And they're not interested in toys or games or girls or anything like that. Just interested in meditating and God. And those are beautiful stories. They're so inspiring. But they're not the stories that make most people say, I can do it.
Yes.
Because those leaders seem so different. And they are. They are. And मतलब प्रणाम करने की मन होता है, उनकी चरण में बैठने की मन होता है. But the mind does not say, अच्छा उन्होंने किया तो फिर मैं ही कर सकता हूँ.
Mhm.
Because we understand कि वो मेरे से अलग है. He is cut from some different
Yeah.
cloth, really very different. But for me, that was not my story. And as you've mentioned, I experienced a great deal of trauma, suffering in my childhood, in my adolescence. And the part that wasn't suffering and trauma was the very normal, beautiful, wonderful Los Angeles, upbringing.
Uh-huh.
And so I had your very normal, privileged, full of opportunity, full of privilege upbringing.
Uh-huh.
And I had trauma and struggle and suffering. But in neither case was I thinking, oh, my life is for God, or, I'm just going to live a spiritual life. I had no idea about any of that. It all happened when I came here and stood on the banks of Ganga. So it felt really important to share with people so that they understand I'm not cut from a different cloth. I understand pain and suffering and struggle, but I also know freedom and deep joy and bliss and ecstasy and awakening. And if I can, so can you. And that was the core reason for writing it, was taki sabko malum ho jayega कि मेरे को जो भी हुआ, जो भी रास्ता से मैं निकल के आए, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. God is always there, always available. हमारा चाहे मोक्ष कहते हैं, चाहे awakening कहते हैं, जो भी मतलब whatever word we use, कि it is available, it is possible. मुझे अगली जीवन तक wait करना नहीं पड़ेगा. Right here, right now. If I make the choice to let go of the pain, I can actually live in freedom. And that is the second part in terms of the advice. If you are suffering from severe PTSD or still in the midst of severe trauma, get help.
Yeah.
Don't think that you can just give it away. The giving it to the Ganga that I did, which I shared in the beginning of the book, it came after years of a lot of deep work, a lot of psychological work, a lot of healing work. And I had gotten to a point where I had done all of that work, but I was still stuck. I was still suffering. I was still identifying as the one who suffered.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to first do the work to look at the suffering, to look at the trauma. So I would say first, get some help, whether through therapy, through psychology, through deep counseling. But engage in a process that enables you to really look at the cause of the suffering. Mm-hmm. But then once you've done that, what you may find, like I did, is that you're able to look at it and see it and understand it, but you're not actually able to be free of it. Mm-hmm. And that's when we say, okay, I don't need to carry this forward anymore. This grudge, this identity, this anger, I need to let it go. It's just holding me back. And chahe Ganga mein, chahe samudra mein, chahe koi bhi nadi mein, chahe aapki mandir mein, wherever you decide to let it go, offer it to the divine and let yourself be free. As we said, that shift from the Hollywood way of thinking that you are your body, you are your story, you are your drama, to the Himalayan way of thinking, that you are not that. And that really is where the healing comes in, is I'm not that story or drama. And if I can do it, you can all do it. And I pray that as you read Hollywood to the Himalayas, that you will find your path to healing and transformation, that you will find how you can let it go and be free. And we also, of course, welcome you all when you come back to India to visit, or if you've never been to India, to come and to come be with us on the banks of Mother Ganga in Rishikesh at Parmarth Niketan. And our doors and our hearts and our arms are always welcome. I mean, are always open to welcome you. And thank you so much, Anita. It's been really, really beautiful to be together with you and your community today.
No, thank you so much, Sadhviji. One last question I have is, where will people find your book if they want to buy it online or in the stores?
Sure. Yes, it Hollywood to the Himalayas is available online. Go to Amazon and just type it in. It's in hard copy. It's also on Kindle. It's also there's what do you call it?
Audiobook?
Onto yes, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. The audio book of that. And I really look forward to hearing all of your thoughts, feedback when you've had a chance to read it. It's an extraordinary journey that I've been blessed to be on. And I believe that my journey will offer you inspiration and motivation and path of transformation for your journey.
Thank you so much, Sadhviji. It's such a pleasure and such a blessing to have you here with us on Indian American TV. And I look forward to talking to you again. And for the viewers, the book Hollywood to Himalayas is available on Amazon in both audio as well as Kindle as well as hardcover. So do get your copy and get a transformation in your life and learn the importance of spirituality no matter what happens. With that, I would like to say namaste and definitely visit Rishikesh. I'm planning to visit the Parmat Ashram next time I'm in India. So, if you want some peace of mind and want to get some enlightenment or to even learn yoga, I think Sadhviji also hosts the world famous yoga festival, right?
Yes, the International Yoga Festival, March 8th to 14th.
Awesome. So it's already scheduled for March 8th to 14th. So if you can make it, definitely make it. It will be totally worth it. Until the next time, keep smiling.